everybody, and welcome to my review of Fighting with My Family, a new film written and directed by Stephen Merchant, and this film tells the mostly true story of Paige, a WWE diva who grew up in a little town in England in a wrestling family. Her whole family were all wrestlers, and we follow her journey along from that to rising up through the ranks in the WWE. Now, straight away, I'm going to admit I am not a wrestling fan. Like, I respect it, you know, and I get why people like it. It was just never for me. And when this film came along, I didn't even really know what it was about. I saw the poster, I saw the title, I thought, is this going to be some kind of, you know, American sitcom dysfunctional family thing, which, like, we need another one of those. Then I found out it was about a wrestler, and I was like, yay. But then I checked out some reviews, and they were all really positive. And the first time I saw the trailer, I was laughing my ass off through it. And look, Stephen Merchant is so great. I mean, this guy, he's done a lot of work with Ricky Gervais. He, I believe, co-created The Office, the British version, and he worked with him on An Idiot Abroad. He's done some really amazing stuff. And yeah, so I started getting a little bit of hype for this movie, and I'm just going to come right out and say, I was not disappointed. This film reached out to me on so many levels in its themes. We had themes of being who you are, like just being yourself no matter what. We had themes of being persistent in achieving your dream or your goal in life, you know, just not giving up, which is something that I really strive for. There were so many other things. This was just such a mixed bag, and the whole film, aside from being hilariously funny, it had so much depth and such a warm heart to it. I loved this movie. We had Florence Pugh playing the role of Paige in the film, and look, I haven't really seen anything that she's been in before, so to me, she's a newcomer. I thought she nailed this part so much. Not only the emotion behind the character and everything, but the physicality of the wrestling and stuff. Like, this girl actually trained a lot for these scenes, and yeah, she came across flawlessly. I adored Lena Headey and Nick Frost as her parents in this film. You know, they were just these low-class, ex-con, criminal background people who you just loved. You know, like, it was the kind of movie that had these characters that could have been dodgy, shady people, but through the dialogue, the brilliantly written dialogue, you just grew to love these people. And it just made the kind of conflict between Paige and her brother Zach, played by Jack Loudon, that much deeper, because as you've seen in the trailer, so it's not a spoiler, Paige gets selected to move on to the WWE from this little town in England, whereas her brother is held back. And there's this incredible dynamic between the two characters. I'm not going to go into it too much because I really loved the outcome of that story arc, but yeah, it was really heartfelt. I dug it. We've got Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is in this film, mainly because, well, it's a wrestling movie, and yeah, he's not in it for very much, but yeah, his scenes were great. He was so funny. Not so much just him, but the other characters that he's working with in the scenes. Like, this film was hilarious. It was genuinely funny, but one of the things that I loved so much about it was that it balanced the tones perfectly well. I mean, you had some scenes that, you know, were really dramatic and kind of intense, but were sort of peppered with funny moments, but it didn't detract from the drama. I thought the soundtrack to the movie was great. In one of the opening scenes, we had Wild Side by Motley Crue, and I was like, I'm on board with this soundtrack. And yeah, there were a few other great rock and metal numbers throughout, so yeah, I found my toe was tapping a fair bit. And even though going into this I didn't really know too much about who she was or the whole story behind her, yeah, I've done a little bit of research upon coming home, because that's the one thing this movie really makes you want to know more about what actually happened. And yeah, I do recognize that there were some things that were changed for this film. According to the real page, 95% of it was true, but the first thing that I checked out was actually her WWE debut match, because you do see it in this film, but I was kind of wondering exactly how accurate it was. And yeah, they did do a few things. They took a few liberties with it to make the story in the film more interesting, but yeah, what it delivered was absolutely solid. And it's one of those films that by the end of it, I was sitting there honestly trying to think of anything that I didn't like about it, that I could be a film critic and say, well, you know, I didn't like this or whatever. But look, I'm not gonna lie, I couldn't find one single thing I didn't like about this movie. So, therefore, I'm gonna give Fighting with My Family a 10 out of 10. So thank you very much for taking the time to watch my review, and a big thank you to Wendy and everybody at Universal for putting this screening on, because we don't get this movie in Australia till March the 21st. I know it's already out around the world, and after seeing all the reviews and everything, I was so keen to see it. So yeah, thank you guys so much for putting on the screening, and for everyone in Australia, make sure you go and see this movie. If you're not a wrestling fan, don't be put off by the fact that it's set in the wrestling world, because, yeah, at its heart, this is definitely a character-driven movie. Yeah, the wrestling stuff is just in the background, so please go out and see this movie when you can. And for everybody else, particularly you guys overseas, if you have seen Fighting with My Family, I would love to know what you guys thought of it. Did you like it as much as I did? Drop me some comments either here, Facebook, or Twitter. All the social media links are in the description below, because I like to talk about movies, and I would love to talk about movies with you. Catch you next time.
Click subscribe to stay up to date with all the latest movie reviews. Skynet will be taking over any day now, so what have you got to lose? Nyah.